The world was ablaze by the inferno that was the Monster Hunter Wilds open beta. Hundreds of thousands of people got on to play what is shaping up to be one of the most insane hunting experiences we've ever gotten our hands on. And if you were dying to know my thoughts on the game, well, you're not gonna get it. Not today. We have much more pressing matters at hand. Something in the open beta was missing. Let me set the stage. The Wilds open beta was filled with indescribable beauty, endemic life going about their day, the weather drastically changing the atmosphere on a whim, and many monsters whetting the blade of many hunters, myself included. And as any hunter would after numerous long battles, it was time to restock my supply of steaks to consume for the hunts ahead. Now, Wilds does steak cooking completely different from its predecessors, and this was shown off in its third trailer. You must now cook it until it's the perfect color, and then slice it repeatedly to make a flawless, well-done steak. Historically, steaks have been cooked quite differently in previous entries. In order to cook the perfect well-done steak, you must time the button press right when the steak turns golden and beautiful with some music that aids as a cue. Time it too late, and you get some burnt meat. Now, when the raw meat is cooked perfectly, it is called a well-done steak. But some argue it doesn't mean the meat was cooked well done, the cooking was done well. And when you timed that button press correctly, you would hear, "So tasty! So tasty." A staple of the series, a triumphant announcement of your sensational cooking skills. The "so tasty" would even change languages to match your region. It would appear in every Monster Hunter game in some shape or form, making it a huge part of the series' identity. At the end of this Monster Hunter Wilds trailer is where this twisted tale begins. There we could hear the "so tasty." Fans clamored at the fact that it once again had returned, and in such a fun, new way. This evoked a primal need to hear this sound. I had to cook the perfect steak. I figured I'll quickly cook the steak perfectly, enjoy the novelty of it, and go back to hunting in this wonderful open beta. It wasn't long before I realized this minigame is quite different in its execution. The only button you have to press is X, but if you press X too early, it cancels your cook and you get your raw meat back. Press X too late, you get burnt meat, which still awards you with 2 well-done steaks along with 2 burnt ones. In the past, you usually would only cook and obtain 1 steak at a time. 1 raw meat would never yield more than 1 cooked meat. However, depending on the game, you could cook multiple meats at a time with varying methods. But still, it is strange that from 1 raw meat, we obtained 4 cooked ones. If you press X right after the flip, you get 2 rare steaks and 1 well-done steak. To reach phase 2 of the cooking game in Wilds, you press X after the meat flips over and gets steamy. Now you enter the chopping zone, where you have to time the X button with the hunter's chops. If you miss every single chop at this point, you still end up with 6 well-done steaks. If you time 1 to 3 out of 5 cuts correctly, you get 7 steaks. If you time 4 but miss 1, you get 8 well-done steaks. And finally, the perfect cook. The trick to this is to tap X to the beat of the bonks that you hear before slicing. They basically give you a metronome to rely on. Simply chop to the beat. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Finally, it's time to hear the "so tasty" and get back to some hunting. What? Where is it? I timed it perfectly and got 12 well-done steaks. They're even telling me it's the perfect char. Where's the "so tasty" I was promised? Maybe it had to do with the timing in the first phase? Perhaps I had to adjust my timing so I entered the second phase at the very last frame. So I tried again and again with many variations, and yet there was no "so tasty."
Dude, it has to be that. What else could you do?
What was I missing? This is when I decided to do a little research. I remember hearing something about the "so tasty" during one of the official Capcom streams where they were showing off Wilds gameplay before the release of the open beta. And I found it. Basically, it translated to,
条件があります。
There's a certain condition you have to fulfill before you're going to hear "so tasty" after cooking. And that condition is something for you to find when you play the game.
and find it I shall. Like pirates heading into the Grand Line to find the One Piece, I set off on my journey to find out exactly what this condition was, and how to hear the "so tasty" in the Monster Hunter Wilds open beta. Where exactly in this massive map will the mystery of this condition unravel? This journey would assuredly not be an easy one. My first destination was the very start of the map. Although you can't actually grill meat inside the tent, you can pull out the portable grill in certain spots to cook at your leisure. Maybe I needed to cook in a safe spot to trigger the sound, free of the distractions outside this enclosure. But after cooking the steak perfectly, there was still no sound to be heard. I'd have to venture out from the safety and warmth of this area into the dangers of the Windward Plains. And speaking of danger, I figured if they're looking for a condition, what if the condition was being in combat? Maybe to get the so tasty, I have to cook the steak perfectly while being in active combat with a monster, as signified by a red circle around the minimap. Perhaps this heightened sense of fear can unlock the hunter's true cooking potential. This was tough to do alone, as the act of doing a two-phase boss fight with a steak would take a considerable amount of time, and the monster I was in combat with would eventually catch on to my shenanigans. With other folks in my party though, it gave me the perfect opportunity to flip over the steak, cook it properly, and time all my chops to the beat of my knife. But once again, it wasn't enough to fulfill this mysterious condition. I ventured to Kunafa village, where I found out that you're actually unable to cook on your portable grill within. Despite the village's incredible and soothing scenery, the inside and exterior of Kunafa yielded no so tasties. But it was important to not lose faith. There's so many intricate and niche aspects of Monster Hunter that could trigger this. I had to keep going. My next destination wasn't a place, but rather a time. With the moon out, I thought perhaps the developers intended the hunter to cook under the comfort of the night, the fire of the grill illuminating the dim plains. Despite the meat looking so damn juicy, it was not so tasty. My journey continued. What else could there be? And then I thought, maybe your hunter has to be really hungry, starving, famished. So I waited until my stamina drained. After what seemed like an eternity, my stamina was at its lowest point, and my hunter wanted to eat one tasty, well-done steak. Once again, my appetite was spoiled. No so tasty. Despite my stamina being filled, my true hunger could not be satiated by a meat of this quality. But why? I thought maybe there was a special kind of meat that could trigger it, but the only available meat to cook was the raw meat in your box, which you could also obtain from various wildlife by hunting and carving them. I didn't know what else to try at this point that would be considered a condition. Maybe the lack of so tasty was a bug or an error with the open beta. Oftentimes, when you cook the perfect steak, your Palico would say something during the cooking process, and sometimes after you're finished. So maybe swapping from feline language to voice type might cause the so tasty audio to play. And no dice. Even fiddling with the settings didn't seem to do the trick. I was running out of options, and at the time, no one posted a single thing about the so tasty, or lack thereof. People were far more occupied with actually hunting the monsters and exploring this vast, detailed environment instead, with good reason. I had to come to terms with the fact that maybe they just forgot to put it into the beta. I mean, bugs and glitches were common, and it's entirely possible that the condition that we had to fulfill wasn't possible yet. It could be a quest line, or an unlockable, or some mystery meat from Uthguna, who knows? I decided, at least for now, that it would probably be best to call it. It was a long day of searching, and there were other things to do. Maybe we could all enjoy the so tasty together when the game comes out in February. Which is what I thought, until something huge happened. At around this time, a video was posted in my Discord. A viewer of mine uploaded footage of them getting the so tasty. I couldn't believe it. At the end of the clip, we could hear the same so tasty heard from the trailer. It was real. But what did they do differently? What have they done in this clip that I somehow have avoided this entire time? It had to be my timing, right? Examining the footage, they seem to start phase 2 with a pause after the flip, and then nail the 5 cuts as shown by the sparkles. I did my best to recreate this exact timing, even to match when the hunter's facial expression leaves the apex of their smile, and of course, I would land the perfect timing to get the 5 sparkles. I tried a myriad of variations, and it would be the same outcome as I've already been getting over and over. Back on their footage, I noticed that they also only got 12 steaks from their so tasty. I thought it being executed differently and being perfectly timed and cooked would perhaps bump the number up to 15. But the fact that it's the same number that I was getting this entire time was very odd. This viewer also mentioned that after they got the timing down, after cooking a couple of steaks, they got it 10, 20 times in a row. This leads me to believe that this isn't a strict timing thing, but rather something else is causing this so tasty to happen, and I had to find out what that is. I noticed in the footage they were near a portable camp. While I did try grilling around the base camp earlier, I decided to go to various portable camps and try my luck there as well. Camp after camp, however, cooking the so-called perfect steak yielded no so tasty. At these camps, I would be trying different timings as well to make sure I was being very thorough. And at this point in my journey, I had cooked so many steaks, I ran out of raw meat completely. They gave you, I think, 90 at the start of the open beta. So at this point, I had to source my own meat. Farm to table action, or rather, hunt to grill. I was a menace to the local wildlife, but hopefully they understood the greater purpose of their harvested meat. It was a necessary oh. What the hell? Anyways, I got to cooking, progressing through even more portable camps, and there was no luck. I mean, if it didn't work next to one portable camp, I don't know how a different one could make a difference. So I looked at the footage again and noticed their hunter was wearing the default armor. Maybe having the hope set on would have some secret effect that triggered the so tasty. There was no armor skills or meal skills that affected grilling steaks though, at least that was listed. I had a lot of hope, and the hope set crushed it. No so tasty. The last thing I could think of is maybe this is a character voice issue. The so tasty that's played in the trailer sounds very similar to voice 1 in the character editor. So maybe the so tasty can only happen when your hunter's voice matches the voice used for the sound effect. It may be a little crazy, but it is an open beta after all. It could be an oversight, and voice 1 is the voice they use in the footage of it successfully working. So I had to give it a try. I went into the character editor, changed my voice to voice 1, plopped out the grill, cooked this damn meat to perfection.
You really did it.
And still nothing. Alma, as usual, would give me words of encouragement, which is very kind, Alma, thank you, but that's not what I'm looking for right now. Oftentimes, my viewers would love to gaslight me, but this chatter in particular was a respectable long-time viewer. I had to believe they were being earnest, and the footage was the truth. So what did I need to do? Time was running out. This open beta would only last a few days, and I've already burnt up so much time, and burnt up so many steaks. Was this journey for naught? Is it possible that maybe it would only happen for certain people's copies of the beta? I don't know. Am I going insane? I was at my wit's end. But there was one last thing I haven't tried to do. Cooking a well-done steak in the exact same location as the video in the underground base camp in Area 14. I've tried every above-ground portable base camp at this point, but I completely forgot about the only base camp that appears at the bottom layer of the map. This is my last chance. I'm going to try this, and if it doesn't work out, I'm going to hold my head high and say I did my best, accept defeat, and go hunt some damn monsters. Here goes nothing.
Yeah, thanks.
You've got to be kidding me. I could not believe my ears. It's actually real. The so tasty is real. I was bewildered. I cooked it again and again and kept hearing it. My timing was the same as my perfect steaks from before. But how? Why? Why specifically only here? What is it about this area that allows the so tasty to actually happen when other places did not? If I remained underground and went directly outside where the portable camp is, the so tasty does not happen on either side, so the condition isn't simply being underground. Why does it only happen here in this camp in Area 14? Looking at the area, nothing really seemed special about it. It just looked like an ordinary portable camp inside a cave. But there actually was one major difference that could explain this phenomenon. If you look at the map for the Windward Plains and hover over any of the portable camps, it'll either state that they are dangerous or insecure. Every portable camp above ground was one or the other. However, this specific camp is the only portable camp that is labeled as safe, meaning no monsters could possibly get to it and destroy it at any point. So for some reason, it seems the so tasty can only happen when you cook the perfect steak in a safe zone with a portable camp. I have no idea why this would happen specifically in this safe spot and not in the base camp, which is also in a way a safe spot, but here we are. Out of all the things I've tried, I never suspected this to be the condition we needed to fulfill. What's even stranger is that the "so tasty" doesn't match the voice of your hunter. I even changed languages, so even in Japanese or Portuguese, the "so tasty" is in English. This all leads me to believe that the "so tasty" only being able to be triggered in that specific area may not be intentional. I don't know for sure, but we'll have to wait and see in the full release if this was truly something they intended, and if it was, what the reasoning could possibly be. I think it was finally time to stop asking questions. We made it. The journey was over. Searching for the answer, I cooked 859 well-done steaks, which has led to numerous wildlife extinctions, so we may not see various fauna appear in the full release of the game. The mystery was solved. I was elated that I could find how to achieve the "so tasty" that's been escaping me during this beta. I can rest easy knowing that it is in fact in Monster Hunter Wilds, just as the developers promised, although in the weirdest way possible. Reflecting on my journey, I got to experience and enjoy a lot of Wilds. Its beautiful scenery, its detailed and meticulously crafted world, and its creatures come to life. And with a tantalizing, "so tasty," well-done steak in my stomach, and the script for this video written, it was time to finally hop on to Monster Hunter Wilds open beta and do some well-deserved hunting. Ah, crap.